the Desert Tiger Podcast.
Hello, Frank. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Doing just fine. I mean, a little toasty on my side of the country, but we're making it happen. We're keeping it cool as we can.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty hot here as well. Where are you located?
I'm located in Kamloops, British Columbia.
Wow, yeah, I heard you guys are going through a heat wave.
Yeah, it's supposed to reach like 45 degrees later today.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, the apartment's already 30, so.
Oh my gosh. That's messed up.
Do with it what you can. I had the fans rolling up until like the last minute that I came and turned everything on. So, like I said, we're keeping it cool.
Nice.
Where are you located out of?
I'm in Toronto.
Okay. So a little toasty in TO2 then.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I mean, it's, I'm sure you're keeping it cool as well as we all have to.
Yeah.
All right. And I mean, you're keeping it cool on the music side of things as well, too, which we're here to dive into today. Are you ready to do that?
I'm ready.
All right. So I want to lay a little bit of a foundation build into these latest tracks here. And in my research, from what I can see, you like to write your songs in batches and sort of like release them as trilogies. So coming out of 2020, you had a trilogy that featured A Friend of Mine, Beach House, and then Another Day, which released in August of 2021. And then the first piece of this new trilogy released in April. So coming out of that last trilogy, when did this new storyline begin to take form inside of your mind and on the paper?
Coming out of those three songs, I mean, I think the next batch were kind of already cooking up while I was finishing up recording on the previous three. So I think not too long after I started penning down House in L.A. and then Bedside Love Song. So maybe within a couple months, and I just started to write some new stuff.
Okay. So seeing how we're talking about coming out of that one piece into this new piece, you definitely do like to do quite a bit of storytelling with these trilogies as well. So what would you say the energy captured? How does it differ between last year's trilogy to these new tracks here?
Definitely last year with Friend of Mine, there was a more of a not really I could say abstract feel with Friend of Mine, where it was just it was basically the song wasn't really directed toward anything in particular, and it was more directed to my own situation, living on my own and going through the cycles of mid-20s. But definitely the sound changed a bit. It got a little bit more jazzy, a little bit more R&B-ish, acoustic, with the new songs that have been coming out the past month or so.
Okay, so not just in terms of story too, but you've also sort of delved a little bit more into other realms, other genres of music.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Was that just the natural progression where your mind was pulling you? Was there influences that had you sort of wanting to chase that sound? What was the feeling there?
I keep fighting, not really fighting it, but it is a kind of musical battle between the more country and Canadiana bright acoustic music, and also I tend to even write in the form of what Bedside Love Song and House in L.A. came out as, which is what I said before, more of an R&B kind of jazzy style. So I find myself going between the two, especially when I'm playing live. It gives two different aspects and feels of the set. But obviously, within the last year or so, we haven't been playing many shows, if any. And I think I've just started to gravitate towards more of the acoustic, chill kind of style of writing. But hopefully, once everything gets back to normal, we can put out songs more like Friend of Mine and play Friend of Mine live, because that song's definitely a crowd pleaser. We played it just before everything shut down at the Burdock in Toronto, and definitely got a good vibe from it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a few songs to bring out to the live crowd and reintroduce to them once you finally make it back to that live stage setting,
Exactly, yeah.
which hopefully should be returning soon. Which once
It's on
again,
the horizon.
yeah, you see shows getting announced all over the place. So hopefully this is a good sign.
Yeah.
All right. So we mentioned that shows got shut down too. So in terms of recording these tracks, did you have to change up your recording process like at all? Like with recording at home, were you able to get into a studio? How was it a change up?
It was definitely different. I mean, we started recording this when restrictions weren't we weren't like extremely locked down. But in terms of going to the studio and everything, the producer was in his um, separate room, and I was in my own room, and we would obviously wear masks and everything. It wasn't the best experience, and a lot of the music was even recorded remotely at home. So it was definitely new and not what I prefer, because definitely the recording process plays a huge toll, a huge role on how the song is actually going to be turning out, right? And in my mind, I have an image and a sound that I want the final product to be. And if the recording process uh, isn't there, then I mean, it might not happen. So this time it was definitely new, but I definitely do want to go back to the old way of recording.
Don't blame you at all. And like we said, hopefully, good signs coming. Hopefully that returns as well. So, I mean, all good things coming on the way. And I mean, lots of good vibes have been coming out. So let's dive into this new trilogy in its pieces here now that we've discussed a little bit of the leading to it. So, like we mentioned, this kicked off with House in L.A. at the beginning or at the end of April. Blah. So take us a little bit behind the first piece of this new trilogy. What does it mean to Frank Moyo?
So House in L.A. was basically kind of an ode to the beach and me wanting to get out of here. It's got a romantic side to it as well. But majority of the piece was written when I was actually supposed to be going to LA for a couple of showcases, and then that was back last year in March. And basically, the week before I was supposed to leave, LA just shut down. California was not letting anyone in. The borders were closed, and then I kind of just started writing, and this song popped up, and obviously the theme of LA came out. But yeah, between House in LA and a bunch of other songs of mine, including like Beach House that I put out last year as well, there's always that theme of the beach, which I usually associate with kind of just getting away from all my problems. So.
And the beach also definitely has that, like you said, a very romantic vibe to it as well. So,
yeah,
capturing sort of that duality of both escape and being able to escape in maybe that romantic setting, a private setting.
exactly. Yeah, well put.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And very well put inside of the song. And then how do we transition here from House in LA? How does it connect here to Bedside Love Story? And then once again, what does the Bedside Love Story sort of mean to you?
So Bedside kind of just plays really well with House in LA. If you just imagine someone, it can go from one of two ways. You can imagine it as a romantic song between two partners, obviously coming out from that House in LA kind of vibe. Or it could be a song that you can associate with angst and loneliness. So it can actually play on both sides of the emotions, both high love emotions and also not very high, which would be low. But yeah, I think Bedside Love Song is more of take it as you wish, and yeah,
Okay. Okay. Just sort of go with the vibes, right?
exactly.
All right. Just sort of like,
I mean, it's very self yeah, self-explanatory in the lyrics as well. It's up to you, the listener, um, to take what you want from the lyrics and make your own story from it, right? So
absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody takes their own interpretation of a song, and maybe it reminds them of something of their past, a memory, or makes them think of an image inside of their mind, whatever it happens to be. That's part of the beauty of music.
exactly, yeah, I agree.
All right. So, in my research, I saw that you're a pretty big fan of the visual, the film world as well. And there was a video for House in L.A. Do we have more music videos maybe coming our way in the future?
Yes, House in L.A. was put together kind of abruptly, the music video, but it turned out amazingly with my photographer and videographer, Erica Chiara. She's also based out of Toronto. Um, and I kind of just always know to trust her with anything visual because she has an amazing eye. In terms of something new, I really would like to put out a music video for Bedside Love Song. And I think we are in the works. Hopefully, it would be coming out at the end of the month of next month, which would be July. But nothing really concrete right now. But it's definitely on the list to do before I put out any other music.
Okay. So, it all, once again, sort of depends on when things open, what's available to
Exactly,
be
yeah.
done. Okay.
Because the last song was more just myself, right? There wasn't any big production in it. And then, like the next video, I'd like to get some more people and some more perspectives involved.
Tell a little bit more of a story there.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. I love it. I love it. And of course, we've mentioned that 2 songs have been released, which means there's probably a third coming our way in the future. So without giving away too many secrets, what does the future hold here for Frank Moyo?
The future is always a beautiful thing because for me personally, I have so many songs that I have actually recorded between the last year, and I am debating on whether to release an EP or an album. I might eventually put out an album because the music is just, there's a plethora of music and I'm kind of just tired of holding everything on a shelf, right? And I just want to put it out there and get everyone's attention. I want people to hear what I've been working on and where my passion is. So the next song, it could either be a single or it could be an album. We don't know yet. So, but there is definitely that third song that was part of the past 2. Yeah, I mean, it's also a love song.
Is the classic Frank Moyo is.
Exactly.
I mean, it seems to be where the bar is, which you seem to make. You do amazing work with it, so I'm not going to argue.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So you mentioned that an album, so lots of songs on the back burner, and of course, in today's industry, a lot of people release inside of that single format, and maybe that leads to exactly that, where maybe you end up with a backlog of songs that maybe by the time you end up releasing them, they don't really mean the same thing that they did when you wrote them.
Exactly. Yeah, you have a great point there. I mean, in terms of singles, that's like what you just said is basically the norm today. A bunch of people are putting out singles, and then, back in the day, actually even before COVID happened, people were starting to jump on that bandwagon of putting singles out and everything. It also attests to the fact that not many people are even bothering with albums anymore, right? They just want that one single and they want to move forward. But I kind of think that now that I solidified myself a little bit more in the scene with these singles, I think I'm ready to put out a bigger work that showcases a lot more of who I am as a songwriter and a musician. So definitely with the other music that I have recorded, it is genre crossing as well as theme crossing. And I want people to see what I'm all about, because I haven't put out a major work since Waves. So that's been about five or 6 years now. It was the last time I put an EP out. It's all been singles.
Quite a bit of time in between. And like we mentioned earlier, you like to explore a few different sounds. So it'd be nice for everybody to be able to hear that collection, that journey as you travel through it.
Exactly.
Awesome. I've really enjoyed this conversation so far, Frank. I have one last question. Are you ready for it?
I think so.
Okay, well, we've dove into quite a bit of this growth into this new trilogy, the potential of a new album and otherwise coming out of last year. And what I would like to know is, over this last year of crafting this new package, of releasing it out into the world and otherwise, how has this time helped you grow as a person, or what has it taught you about yourself?
It's definitely taught me that, like the past year for sure, has definitely taught me that being organized is definitely something that needs to be done and needs to be practiced in order to maintain and propel your dreams. Because I even just staying home and everything, it can get extremely easy to just get swallowed into some slow, depressive hole where nothing really happens. But you always have to find ways to organize yourself, organize your thoughts, organize your works, and make sure that you're always on that path towards your ultimate goal and success. So the older I've been getting, and it feels like I've gained 10 years the past year, but I've definitely realized that you've got to take care of yourself and ensure that what you want is the main aim, and you've got to take care of that as best you can.
Absolutely. And I thank you for sharing that wisdom with us here, because that's a very important lesson for people to hear, because we can, just because things happened that we can't control, we can get down in a funk because of that, and we cannot allow it to affect our output, our creativity, whatever it happens to be.
Yep, you're so right.
Awesome. All right. Well, I want to thank you to Frank Moyo for joining me here today on the Desert Tiger Podcast.
Thank you for having me.